Don't get scrolled past. Create hooks that dominate feeds. Let me give you a story on hooks first. It's important for you guys to understand the concepts. Otherwise, the tools are tools. It's just it's kind of like teaching you carpentry and then giving you a tool and training you on that tool as well. So let me teach you guys carpentry first. So when we launched Zoosk at the beginning, we were on the early app movement, so it was really easy that we were getting customers left and right. But the market became competitive real quick. Okay, so at that point, it took me a while to actually understand exactly how to make ads work when it became competitive, and that was actually hooks in our online ads. Finding badass hooks, okay, that grabs attention really quickly on social media, Google Ads or whatever, wherever you're placing at billboards. We did billboards. Grab attention quickly and get people to do something by triggering a feeling. Okay, that's how hooks work. It's like people are busy, they don't care about you, they don't know you exist almost never, and you need to grab their attention and trigger a particular feeling to get them to do an action, which normally means to learn more about your product and service. Okay, so it took me a while, probably millions of dollars of ad spend before I found our first working hook. And here's the funny part. I see a lot of marketers who run ads, and you might have seen my ads either for Deal.ai or MentorBox or what have you. I see so many ads that the hook is just bleh, like it doesn't grab attention. Nobody cares, right? So that hook has a particular like I said, is one of the most important factors. It needs to stop you from scrolling, okay? And it needs to motivate you just enough for you to take a tiny action, which is click on a button to learn more about the product. That is the hardest thing in marketing. Okay, I'm telling you guys, most of the time, if when I talk to other people who do marketing, sometimes they're not even thinking about it. So their headlines is an afterthought. Okay, that's insane to me. At MentorBox, it took me quite a while to find our first working hook. It's actually like it needs a lot of experimentation, and before AI. And before our tools, it looks something like this. And I'm going to give you some rules about what to put in the hooks and stuff. You come up with hooks, you put them in a Google Sheet, okay? Then you try to guess which one's going to work. Then you start running experiment, one after another, and you find a winning hook, hopefully. If your brain was capable of thinking of the right hook. But then the game doesn't even stop there. So after running a hook for a while, what do you think happens? It burns out, stops working. Exactly. Gets old. People get used to it. They become colorblind, okay, or hook blind. So you need to come up with a new one. So this game never stops. So you experiment, find a winning hook, you run it, and after a while it burns. So you need to constantly come up with new ones, right? So let's talk about what a good hook is. Marketing starts with a super strong hook. It literally starts with it, okay? It's like when I say it starts with it, again, I keep emphasizing it because I know most people, to them, the marketing headline or hook is an afterthought. And it's not just for the ad, by the way. The same hook gets reflected on your landing pages, okay? And that's like, it's like, it needs to be congruent. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. I use the same hook from ad to landing page. But even if you're doing email marketing, SEO, you're bringing people some other way to your pages. It's the same concept. At the top of the page, you have a hook. It's called a hook because you're fishing. So it gotta stick, and it gotta get the person to read or do some action. Okay. So to learn more, because learning is cognitive load. So nobody wants to learn about a new product and service. It's actually cognitive load. Our brains automatically are designed to ignore new things. So you need to get them motivated. Okay. Caleb said, can you give me an example of a good hook? Yes, I will give you many examples. Deal.ai, when we launched Deal.ai as an M&A platform before launching the marketing software, the first hook that works was don't start a business, buy one instead, which is called the negative valence hook. And I'm going to talk about it in a second. But that's the first working hook. At MentorBox, the first hook that works was read like a CEO. Read like a CEO. That was the first hook that actually works. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys examples using the software. So essentially, the purpose of it, just to repeat myself a little bit, because I want to really drive this point home, grabs attention in milliseconds. Whoop. People are scrolling, grabs them. Conveys an easy to understand concept very quickly. You have literally milliseconds. Okay. Attracts the potential customer in and motivates them to stop what they're doing and pay attention to you and your offering by triggering a feeling like inspiration, fear, fun, multiple ways of doing it. And I'll talk about it in a second. Okay. So magic hooks, this is now you're going into the territory of my personal experience. Magic hooks are 12 words or less. Okay. You go longer than that, it's just like the cognitive load of looking at it is too much. So not enough people actually even read it. So 12 words, sweet spot. Pick a specific tone. Know what your tonality is. That conveys a feeling. It could be inspirational. Read like a CEO is an inspirational headline. Does it make sense? You guys see it? Read like a CEO. It's like because a lot of people inspire to be a CEO. I don't. I actually hate being a CEO, but a lot of people like being a CEO. So it's an inspirational hook. Use trigger words. Okay. And this is again, you're going into territory that this is kind of my experience, my flair. I like the words free, you and your, instantly, secret, effortlessly, and every time. So a really great hook that means nothing is sign up for free. You will instantly get secrets effortlessly every time. Of course, I'm joking. That's not what I mean. But try to use those kind of words. Okay. Now, use numbers if you can in the hook, and I'm gonna add actually a toggle for numbers. Gracefully use negative words. I'm gonna explain that in the software as well, so you can go no, yes. So you can invoke a negative feeling and then contrast it with something positive. Don't start a business, buy one instead is an example of it. I call it negative valence language. It means you show the alternative and then contrast it to show the positive or the solution in one sentence. Use one, I call it hyperbolic term, but something like sky high, dominate, earth shattering, something like that. Okay. In the term. Now, by the way, what was the title of this? Don't get scrolled past. Create hooks that dominate feeds. It would grab your attention, right? If you saw this in a feed, don't get scrolled past. Like as a marketer, your biggest fear is getting scrolled past. Okay. So it plays to that fear, especially if you're a marketer. This works really, really effectively on you. Now, let me show you guys. It's actually created by our machine. I think here. Okay. I didn't come up with it. All right. So let's talk about the machine now. This is the software you're going to get access to. I'm going to walk through the software. This is the first feature of the software. Generate hooks and then ranks them based on clickability, meaning how likely they are to get clicks, likability, how likely they are to get engagement and likes, and availability, which is cognitive availability, meaning how easily understood the hook is. Okay. Are you guys with me? So the goal here is to create hooks that are very high, get high CTR, get high engagement, and are highly available, meaning really helps, like easily understandable by a human, okay? Quickly in milliseconds. So let me walk through the software really quickly, just so I show you guys what I actually input to generate the title of these two presentations. The hook that you guys liked was this one. I just put in this presentation will show people how to come up with amazing, short but powerful marketing hooks to create highly converting marketing campaigns. Very functional. So essentially in our tool, under the description, you just put it very matter-of-fact language. Like on this one, in this presentation, we'll talk about 7 levers of marketing that will help people to do really well in marketing. And then I did one for MentorBox. I'm going to run through that together to actually understand how to generate really good hooks. But this one, okay. So this one was, yes. So this is for hooks, right? And it generated these results. The first one is actually good, but I didn't explain that it's for ads. So if you're actually, so the machine didn't know I was talking about advertisement, I should have put it in the description, but the second one is really solid. I use it for the presentation. For my marketing presentation, again, I put very matter-of-fact language. I kept everything default. Actually, I used 2 recommended words here. I'm going to talk about that in a second when I'm talking through the case study. And the first result is really good. I want to say if you're targeting marketers with a marketing, in fact, I'm gonna test this hook right here. Anyways, so going back to an example, who's ready to see an example and walk through the different elements of building a hook? Put a 1 in the chat if you're ready. Okay, great. Seems like you guys are excited. And then I'm going to do a hook myself. And maybe if there's time, I'll get one of you guys to actually give me a product example as well. And I'll run it through a hook. And later today, those of you guys who bought the software, you will get access to it. You'll receive an email with, I think that's how it works. My team can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you will receive an email with username and password. And then every week we unlock another one. The next one is going to be landing page. Okay, so it's going to create all components of a landing page for a product. The third one is going to be, maybe the order changes a little bit, but we're going to give you, basically we're going to create a specific AI model that generates badass hooks, really high converting, high CTR, high engagement hooks, badass creatives, really good marketing landing pages that convert at a high rate, create abandoned cart sequences for you guys. And you can do it for yourself or you can do it for your clients. Doesn't matter. It's the point on Sundays is that I give you cutting edge tools and training so that you can win in the game of marketing and whether or not you do it for yourself or for a client, that's for you to decide. And then broadcast emails, okay, that get really high open rates. And one of the things I would do with you, I want you guys to help me and tell me if you're willing to help me on this a little bit. So we want to create a database of highly converting hooks, landing page content, email follow-up sequences, and all that. And we obviously have our own access to data, things that we know works. We will train AI with that. But I want you guys to also, as you're doing your own marketing, share the best working hooks, best working email sequences, best working landing page concepts, all sorts of things, different elements of marketing and conversion. Put a 1 in the chat if you're willing to share those with us, and we will not use it directly, by the way. So we just use it to prompt our AI, train our AI to generate similar type of products, even for yourself. Good. Okay, right here. I think Matt, my CTO, is on the call. To teach AI, yes, Stephanie said to teach AI. So essentially the way it works is called RAG, retrieve, augment, generate. So essentially what we are doing, we're going to build a database of really good landing pages, really good email sequences, broadcast emails, headlines, things that really work, okay? And essentially, the more we have, the better the AI is more fine-tuned to deliver good results for you guys. Okay, simple terms. And we obviously have our own, we've done a ton of marketing ourselves. Like I said, I've spent hundreds of millions in marketing, and I know everybody that's in marketing. So I can start from a good base, but it would be great. So if we want to put a feature inside our software that those of you guys, when you have a success with a particular hook or whatever, go submit it. And then we train. It's not like it will be replicated exactly. It just trains the AI to say things like this. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Are you guys with me? Okay. So now let's go through a case study and all the levers here real quick. So I put MentorBox's description, just typed it in, very matter of fact. MentorBox, for those of you who don't know, and it doesn't matter what it does, it's just so that you guys understand what we're doing, is an online book video streaming service, meaning we get the authors to shoot short videos teaching the concepts of their books, and then we put it in an online streaming service like Netflix, and people, instead of reading the book, can watch the author's videos. Okay, I launched that product in 2016. This is still around and kicking ass. So now, at the time, there was no AI. Now there is. So I just put the concept, put the description. You can put it in language, and we're going to actually pretty soon enable a feature here where you can just put the URL of the product. If you have a product or a landing page or a website, just plug in the URL and it reads the website, and you don't need to even type this thing. Okay. Now, length. By default, put it where it is. The default values on this are, by the way, my recommended default values. Okay. You may differ with me and you might have different style than me, in which case, absolutely feel free to change it. I'm just telling you what you see here as default is my preferences personally. Okay. And things I've seen to work. So when you put it default, which is around here, it generates hooks that are about 10 words long, 10, 12, sometimes shorter, sometimes a little longer. If you want to generate a really long hook, slide it to the right. If you want to go really short, like 3 words, something like that, go all the way to the left. I say just leave it where it is. Does the software operate only in English, or can we use it in other languages? Example, Spanish. It is currently only in English, but it is on our roadmap to build the Spanish and other languages of the same thing as well. But the reason we start with English is because I can be a good judge of what it is generating, and we can fine tune our product to get good results. And once I know this is what we're going to build and this is generating good results, then we can actually make it in Spanish, and then have someone who's Spanish speaking actually judge it if it is good, if it's generating good results or not. But right now, it's only English. So length, you slide left or right depending on what you want. If you're going with one sentence hooks, so at the top of landing pages, some people put one hook. So I sometimes put a very short hook with a subtitle, a headline and a subtitle. If you want to do that, slide it to the left for the top, and then slide it to the right for the subheadline. Does that make sense? You have like short, long. Or if you're working on one single hook, especially for ads, okay, just keep it as default. If you use a hook from AI, is there a way to know where else it is used to ensure we don't duplicate a competitor, or are they all original? So it doesn't copy. So AI models don't copy. There's a small chance that it's somebody else has used the same sequence of words, but you've seen AI. If you've played with AI, you know what I'm talking about. Normally, the results are new. So it's not like copying from other places. Okay, so now that's length. The second one is valence. And by the way, if you hover over, you see a little tooltip that explains it, because valence is a term that nobody else uses. So you guys who are I use it on a daily basis, but almost nobody else uses. Negative valence, it's actually a term in psychology. Okay. Positive valence, for example, if your customer is a bank or some super conservative client, okay, you can flip this and make it just positive valence, meaning it's only positive words is used in the language. However, if you really want to be competitive or win in marketing, just leave it by default in negative valence. I'm telling you guys, I've been using negative valence. Like, it doesn't mean it's a negative language. It just contrasts. It tells you to stop doing something or don't do something or don't waste your time on something, and then provides a solution. So it's like negative. It kind of slaps the visitor, right? Just says, don't do this, do that. Does that make sense? Are these the types of headlines news outlets use? So yeah, you can use these kind of headlines for news articles as well. In fact, I use the headline for my presentation. So it's the same concepts, all of them the same concepts. These are, you're creating short sentences that stops people from in their tracks and gets them to do a tiny action, which is to most of the time to click through. Sometimes it's something else, fill out a form, blah, blah, blah. But it's just grabbing attention and compelling them to do something. Okay, I cannot emphasize, this is how important it is. It's all marketing is so competitive. You need to be able to constantly grab attention and compel them to do something, and that's the idea here. Okay, so if you use negative valence, it does things like, don't do this, don't waste time, this, da, 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 do this instead. That's kind of like the language. It's called negative valence, the term I use, and it's also in the software. Now, tonality. You can default as inspirational. I found that inspirational headlines normally work best. Okay, but you can trigger other facts, other emotions. For example, you can have a fact-based ones. If you have a very conservative client, you can use this. You can use fun. You can use urgent. Okay, like for example, and a new box opens for urgent. Like for example, you have a conference that is, or like something that like, closes a week from now, next Friday. You just put in conference early bird tickets and next Friday. Okay, it's obviously not related here because I'm showing mentor box, but you just type it in here. It can be fear-based. Okay, let me think of an example, like sitting next to on my kitchen counter. So the tap water. Okay, is my tap water safe? Is there lead in it? Okay, and let's say you are selling a water testing kit. Okay, the fear is the existence of lead in my drinking water. Okay, and you just type it in here. Default inspirational, but here you can go whatever is the language. Persuasiveness, again, the default values are kind of fine-tuned. If you have persuasiveness, is like how salesy the language is. Okay, obviously, if you're doing performance marketing, you want this to be very persuasive. If you go super high, in fact, we had settings higher than the high here, but AI starts really talking gibberish and inappropriate stuff. So this is just leave it at default. If you're going performance marketing, if you want to be really persuasive, drag it all the way to the right. If you're doing marketing for an accounting firm, for a law firm or something like that, drag it to the left. Okay, if you go all the way to the left, you're essentially speaking like an accountant. Creativity, same thing. Keep it where the default is. If you go to it's a little bit like, in fact, this also had, it was interesting because we can increase creativity even more, but then it feels like AI is tripping on acid and it says incoherent things. So we kind of like had to cut it. So here where it is creative enough. You drag it here, it's still fine. And we don't give you like further out, because then literally it's as if AI is tripping on acid. I don't know of a better way to describe the output. Okay. All right. Is this a price driven hook? Okay.
Alex, we should add it as a bonus, like the acid tripping.
I know there's
acid tripping AI bonus.
There's a trick. It's an upsell. It's literally not good, guys. It doesn't work. So now let's talk about price-driven hooks. So price-driven hooks which I use for mentor box sometimes. And it works especially if you have a low price point product. Okay. You can say only $7 a month, something like that. And it will try to incorporate it into the hook. In this case, I don't want to do hook. I have done price driven hooks. It works if you're super low, if you're promoting a super low price point, and everybody knows. The key is not that you think it is low price point. A customer knows that, immediately knows that it's a low price point. You can then make it a price driven one. Some people like to use emojis. I don't. So if you want an emoji, some people say emoji conversion, blah, blah, blah. Maybe right, maybe not. I have never seen emojis increase conversion, but we put the option because some people are obsessed with emojis. Now, target audience is important. Instead of everyone, you can put busy professionals, probably. In the case of mentor box, if you're targeting a product to doctors, put doctors, dentists, whatever you want in free text. You just say what the target audience is. Busy professionals in this case. Do you have examples of good hooks that you've thought of? If you have, you just say yes. And if you have previously hooks that have worked for this product, just put them in. Okay. If you don't, just keep it as default. Do you have any recommended words that you use? And I'm going to expand this list a little bit. I used you, instantly. There are a couple more that we will add soon. Secret is a good one. Lucky is a good one. Every time is another good one. That is just, I've seen when you use it in a hook, it increases. In this case, I just use you and instantly. So if I hadn't done it, it would be like this. Just you instantly, or you can freeform type whatever other keywords that you want. Any other instructions? So here, you can leave blank like default, but if you have a specific things, like for example, you know that you want this in your hook, you can actually give specific instructions to the AI engine. If not, no. And there you go. Guys, I couldn't make it any simpler, really. Basically, we designed it so that if you just describe the product very matter of fact, or once we have the website scraper, you just put in the URL of the website, and the rest of it, you don't have to really change unless you know what you're doing, and just create hooks and it does the job.